What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 12, Episode 6, Bromance Breakup. So we start off where we left off from the previous episode, and that's when Teresa and her brother Joe got into that big argument over Jennifer and Margaret and which one is the lesser of the two evils. So Teresa gets frustrated because Tracy Barbara comes in and she tries to put in her 2 cents, and it frustrates the hell out of Teresa because she doesn't want anybody outside the family coming in to give their 2 cents, especially when she really doesn't know them that well. So her and Louis walk off together, and Teresa tells Louis that she really hates it when her family makes her feel like she's always wrong and they're always right. Now, I feel like most of the time since I've been watching this show, which is from the beginning, I've always felt like most of the time her family is right and she is like kind of like in the wrong. She doesn't know how to pick her battles, and she doesn't really know how to read her friends. So I feel like most of the time Teresa ends up on the wrong side of right. So anyway, Teresa talks about how she really wants Tracy Barbara out of her business. And I kind of sort of agree with Teresa on this because even though Tracy made good points as far as, you need to stand up for your brother and be there for your brother, she kind of really like bombarded her way into this family discussion. She made a good point, she was making sense, but I don't think it was really the time for her to put in her 2 cents, especially as sensitive as Teresa is. So Joe comes out to try to talk to his sister, and he tries to make Teresa see why he was so bothered by what Jennifer said and how he felt like, Teresa really should have been there for him. And he tells her, sometimes I just really want my sister to stand up for me. I just really need my sister. And to me, I interpreted that as him saying that regardless of what you think, regardless of how you feel about the situation, I just need you to be on my side. Even if you think that I'm in the wrong and your little friend is in the right, I just need you to be my sister and just support me and be on my side. Teresa still really doesn't see it. And then she kind of turns it around, kind of like, well, if y'all don't want me to talk to Jennifer anymore, then I won't talk to Jennifer. You know how she is this passive aggressive thing that she loves to do. So then Margaret comes in and, she joins in, and Teresa tries to compare how Margaret talking about Louis' video is like the same as Jennifer insulting her brother, because she was trying to say that, well, y'all are getting on my case because I didn't get on Jennifer for insulting Joe, but y'all didn't get on Margaret for her talking about Louis' video. And I'm like, okay, you're comparing apples to oranges. Jennifer was talking directly to your brother and directly insulting your brother in person and also insulting your brother online. It was like a direct attack to your brother. Margaret is talking about Louis and some video that he did. Margaret's not attacking you. Why would Joe or Melissa or anybody show any kind of loyalty to Louis, someone that they barely know, someone that they themselves are trying to figure out? That's like so different from you not being there for your brother, not standing up for your brother. There's no reason for Joe or Melissa to stand up for Louis because Margaret is saying something about that crazy video. So Teresa, I don't know what you're talking about, but your comparisons did not work. So Teresa says that she has never seen Louis' video and that her daughter Gia has also never seen Louis' video. And Margaret calls complete BS on that. She's like, there is no way that she did not see this video. I know she saw this video. And probably because it was very traumatic for her to see it, she's going to act like she didn't see it so she doesn't have to comment on it. So we're back with Jennifer at her house. She's at her home having her own little party with her family, simultaneously as the pink party. So she's at her home and, she's with her kids and her husband. They're playing in the pool. And the daughter asks about, where's Teresa and Louis? And Jennifer tells her daughter that they're are at Melissa's house for the pink party, but that's okay because we're going to have our own little pink party. So Jennifer in her confessional says that she's still bothered about Nabil not defending her, as she should be, as she most definitely should be. So, back at the pink party, the guys are talking about Nabil and Jennifer. Joe says in his confessional that Nabil did nothing about his wife calling him a crook and kicking him out of the house. And they're supposed to be friends. And I think what Joe was trying to say was that, he wanted Nabil to pull him to the side and talk to him man to man and say, look, okay, I know, our wives are not getting along right now, but everything between the two of us, is good. I don't think that Joe realistically expected Nabil to choose him over his wife, or to take Joe and Melissa's side over Jennifer's side. I don't think he realistically expected that. I think that he was just mainly wanting Nabil to be like, hey, we're still good, even though our wives are at each other's throats. So they show a flashback of all the friendship scenes between Joe and Nabil, and then Frank suggests that they should probably call Bill when they return home. Melissa says to Jackie that it's a shame that Jennifer took Nabil away from the other guys because, she sees all the guys commiserating together. Nabil is not a part of it, because he's at home with Jennifer and the kids. And, she feels some kind of way about Nabil being left out because, his wife is, kind of crazy, and she refused to come to the party. So, Margaret, moving on. We are the next day, another day. Margaret is out to eat with her mom, Marge Sr., and they're talking about Teresa in the Louis video. And Margaret says that Louis' ex-wife, there's a whole new storyline now for Louis. There's all these new allegations that popped up on the internet. And Margaret tells her mom that Louis' wife allegedly had abused her in front of her children. So that's the new thing that was circulating on the internet. Now, at the same time that Marge and Marge Sr. are having their little lunch, we see Teresa and Gia out for ice cream. So Gia is approaching her one and a half year anniversary with her boyfriend Christian, and Teresa and Louis, they're approaching their 1 year anniversary. And Teresa asks her daughter for ideas on what to do to celebrate their 1 year anniversary. And then Teresa says to Gia, Louis is great, isn't he? Don't you think he's great? And Gia kind of gave a soft yes. She wasn't like, oh God, he is so good for you, Mom. She was just like, yeah, I hope you're not really rushing into getting engaged anytime soon. And I thought that was a very strange response from Gia, especially since previously when, we saw Gia and Louis and Teresa and all the other girls together, it seemed like they loved Louis. But now she was sort of hesitant to say that she liked Louis. So I didn't understand that unless she also had seen what was circulating out on the internet. So Teresa says that Margaret, was bringing up Louis' past, and Gia was like, well, who the hell cares about his past? Sweetheart, you need to look at his past. Okay, y'all are celebrities. You can't get involved with people who have shady past. You just can't do it. It's going to cost y'all a whole bunch of money if Teresa hooks up with someone who has a questionable past. So yeah, you need to be very concerned about his past to see if he is abusive, to see if he's aligned with any controversial leanings or beliefs or anything like that. You need to look at his past. So moving on from that, Dolores. So Dolores, her parents come over and they talk about, Dolores' marital issues with Frank and all the stuff that she went through with Frank. And before he even cheated on her, or before the cheating affected their marriage, they were having their own interpersonal issues. For example, Dolores talks about how Frank was always yelling at the house. He had a really short temper. I guess he was basically verbally or emotionally abusive. And Dolores says in her confessional that she thanks God that Frank cheated on her, because if he had not cheated on her, she never would have left over the emotional and verbal abuse that he inflicted on her. So she was like, thank God he cheated on me, because that is what motivated me to finally leave him. Otherwise, I still would have been stuck in that marriage, which really wasn't a good one. So Dolores finally tells her parents that, Frank is moving back in, and that her and David have broken up. And her parents, especially her dad, looked really shocked and devastated that Dolores and David were no longer together. And Dolores says that she was always alone because, his career and his job came first. She was going to events alone and she got tired of it. She says that she moved into her condo and he didn't even bother to look for her to figure out, I guess, where she was living or to come visit her. So she was in a relationship where she was basically living the single life. And so she says to her parents that, she had to move on from that. But her ex-husband Frank and the kids, they're still really good with David, and it seems like the parents also are going to still be good with David because the father was like, he saw Frank, he said that he saw David as like one of his own. So everybody around Dolores is good with David except for Dolores. Moving on to Melissa. So she is on the site of her and Joe's new property. I think she said they sold their old home. They wanted to start fresh. They're having some marital issues last year, which I feel like was sort of like very forced on the show just to kind of give them some interesting storyline. But they played it through and it worked. So they're talking about how they wanted to sell their old house, get a fresh start, get something a little bit more modern, a little bit more updated. And so they are going to renovate. They bought this old property and they're going to renovate it. So that's what's happening now over there. Joe said that at first he really wasn't, that big on the move, but he finally went ahead and gave in. Moving on to Jennifer. So Jennifer is talking with her older daughter and they're about to have a kickboxing lesson with a kickboxing instructor, and Dolores will also be joining them. So at first she talks with her older daughter, I think her name is Gabby, and she says that she's going to have to tell her mom about Nabil's affair because it's going to be out there once, the episodes begin to air. So it's something that she needs to address with her mom because when the affair happened, Jennifer tells us that she didn't tell anybody about it. No friends, no relatives, no nobody. So she started off by telling her children first. I don't know if she told all of them or just the older ones, but she said that she did tell her children first, and that was done. And so now she says she's going to have to tell her mom. In her confessional, Jennifer tells us that her mom will not put any blame on Nabil. Her mom will put all the blame on Margaret because it seems like, her mother being very old fashioned, she's going to be very male identified and, give the man a pass and use that old adage of, boys will be boys, they'll do what they'll do. So it's the women that have to suffer the consequences of the men's actions. So Margaret is going to be taking the bullet for Nabil's actions. So she says that her mom is going to see Margaret as the culprit because she publicized the whole affair. Now, my stance on Margaret publicizing the affair, I'm on the fence. Number one, I can understand how it would truly hurt Jennifer and her husband and her family that Margaret exposed the affair on a, on a national television show. That is totally 1,000% understandable how Jennifer would feel betrayed by that. No questions about that. But then I think deeper than that, I'm still going to have to say this, that it's Nabil's fault. If he hadn't done anything, there wouldn't have been anything for Margaret to expose. We need to get out of this mindset of protecting wrongdoers because, it's going to eventually embarrass someone. Their actions is the real culprit. Their actions, their wrongdoing act is what is causing the embarrassment. If he hadn't done what he did, there'd be nothing to expose, even though it was exposed, erroneously, or not erroneously, but it was exposed when it shouldn't have been. If he hadn't done anything, there would have been nothing to expose. Like there's nothing, Jennifer didn't do anything, so there's nothing for anyone to expose on her that would bring any kind of embarrassment or humiliation to her family. So we need to stop this whole thing of we shouldn't talk about it because it's going to embarrass the family. He already embarrassed his family. He gave his family absolutely zero consideration when he stepped out on his marriage. So he cannot now use his family to shield him from his own humiliation and embarrassment because he thought nothing of his family when he was doing the wrongdoing, when he was having the affair, doing the cheating. So She says, Jennifer tells us that, she had dealt with the affair on her own in her own way because it happened 10 years ago. She had dealt with it. She had 10 years to come to terms with it. But now her children are living through it. So now it's like, she's got to be there for them, and it's a struggle for her to like relive this whole thing again. And of course, once again, she blames Margaret. And I begin to wonder, did she really deal with the after effects of the affair, the feelings of the affair? Did she actually deal with it? Or did she just push it to the side? Like, okay, my husband cheated on me, but I'm going to, toughen up, and I'm going to get through this, and we're going to put on a brave face, and we're going to move on with our lives because, he's taking care of us. Or I feel like that's how it went, more likely than her just like really truly dealing with what happened. Because if she really dealt with it, I think, anyways, moving on. So Dolores arrives for the kickboxing lesson. Let me tell you, that kickboxing instructor, she was not playing around. She was no joke. She was really serious about her kickboxing. I feel like that woman would have given Rocky a run for his money. So after the whole kickboxing thing, Dolores and Jennifer, they sit down and they talk. And the first thing that they talk about is Dolores's mom. So Dolores's mom, she has some tests done, and something came up regarding her heart. So she needs to have further tests done. So currently she was at the hospital where they were running more tests on her. And she was at the same hospital that David works at. And because David and Dolores are not talking, Dolores had to ask her brother to go ask David if he can, talk directly to the doctor to make sure they get, quick and up to the minute updates on her mom. So Jennifer was like, well, I understand that you and David broke up, but I was just wondering if the breakup was amicable. And Dolores said, no, it really wasn't amicable. In fact, she tried to reach out to David recently, letting him know, hey, it's been 2 weeks. We haven't really talked. And David kind of was just like, well, we have nothing to talk about. So she says that David is still good with Frank and the kids. And then she said that she left her mom at the hospital. She wasn't going to be there at the hospital with her mother because she didn't want to chance or risk any run-in with David, which I thought was absolutely crazy. Like, I don't give a damn if I hate you, if I love you, for fighting or for arguing, if we're in, some serious beef. I don't care. I'm going to be there by my mom's side. You can go to hell. I will be there for my mom. So Dolores, so they start talking about Margaret and her blabbing about the affair. Jennifer said that she had not told anyone about the affair. And she's like, this is the reason why I didn't tell anyone, because I was trying to avoid all this attention and fanfare and hoopla that this particular thing is getting. And this is the reason why when it happened, I refused to tell anybody about it. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, she keeps talking about how she never told anyone at all about this affair, but she must have told someone because Margaret knows about it. And I know that Margaret did not get the information directly from Jennifer. So she must have told someone because someone told Margaret. So Jennifer expresses anger at Bill for not standing up for her when everybody was ganging up on her, when she had that fight with Melissa. And so Jennifer says, he's already betrayed me once, and with him not standing up for me and supporting me, it's like he's betraying me again. So Dolores asks her, are you still mad about the affair? And Jennifer says, well, I'm just really numb to it. She says, when I forgave him, I had to make the decision to just move on, put it behind me, and not bring it up ever again. So Dolores says, well, you're probably hurt really from that. And so when the girls, whenever they did whatever they did about bringing up the affair and talking about all of that, you felt even more hurt, but your hurt was really coming from, that wound that never healed when your husband betrayed you. So Jennifer says, you know what, I had made the decision to just not go into it anymore, to forgive him and to move on. So I don't know if I'm in a position to change my mind and try to bring that up again. I guess like to talk about it with Bill again and to really dig deep about what happened and how she felt. So she feels like once she closed the box on that and forgave him, like she really can't go back now and reopen that whole box. So then Dolores gets a call, I think from her brother, and she finds out that her mother's heart had a 90% blockage and that she's going to need a triple bypass surgery. So that was absolutely shocking and life-changing. And of course, we all hope that she gets through that. So the guys are now getting ready for guys night, and so they're all involved in a group text, and in this group text, the guys are all like, reaching out to Nabil and telling him how they can't wait to see him and they're looking forward to hanging out with him. And then Joe Gorga sends a message directly to Nabil saying F you, Bill. And it's like, and it shocked all the guys. Like, what the hell was that all about? So no one really knows if Joe was serious about that or was he just joking around about that. It was really shocking. Joe even tells Melissa about it, and Melissa was like, why the hell did you do that? And then we see Jennifer talking about it with Nabil, and Jennifer was like, well, those are basically fighting words. And so, he's going to really try to start something with you tonight. So Joe says that, well, he said he was trying to be funny, but he was also kind of serious about it too, because he's really upset about Nabil not reaching out to him to let him know, like, we're still cool, even though our wives are going at it. So all the guys arrive at the restaurant, and before Bill and Louie arrive, they talk about the newest allegations about Louie. I think it was Margaret's Joe that brought it up, and Joe Gorga really didn't know about it. I think he was kind of shocked about it. And so they were asking him, are you going to talk to him about it? And he was like, well, who is this even coming from? Who's saying these things about Louis? And they told him it's some anonymous person. So I don't know if he feels like, kind of like, well, if I talk about it, it's coming from an unreliable source. So, he needs to tread very lightly when it comes to allegations like that. So I felt like when I was watching the guys talk and Tiki Barbara, I felt like Tiki really did like naturally fit in with all the other guys. And so I'm kind of hoping that, he might stay. So Joe expected Bill, like I said before many times in this review, that Joe expected Bill to talk to him one-on-one just to reassure him that they were still good. And when he didn't, I guess Joe felt kind of like betrayed or hurt by that. So first you have Jennifer defaming him online, and I can't say she started the fight, because the fight really was kind of started about Melissa when she got up. But now she's beefing with his wife, and so in all this Jennifer turmoil, he really wants to solidify his friendship with Bill, but Bill is like nowhere to be seen. So finally Bill arrives, he greets everybody, and Tiki asks Bill if he thought Joe was joking about the FU text. And Bill was like, I really wasn't sure if he was joking or not. So Bill says, I try to stay out of the women's business, and Joe tells him that his wife was out of line. But then Bill brings up Margaret. It's like every time anyone points out the wrong that Jennifer did, someone has to bring up Margaret, and it's usually Bill or Jennifer. So Bill brings up, well, Margaret was out of line for digging up information, on me and my family. And then Bill says, at least Jennifer doesn't dig up information on people like Margaret. And then Evan steps in. He was like, yes, she does. And I was like, go ahead, Evan. And so Bill brushes it off as, oh, but that's just Jennifer being nosy. She's not really digging up information. It's just her way of being nosy. And then Evan was like, oh, hell no, it's not. It is way more than that. He says that she's trying to find information on people to specifically hurt them and to try to destroy them. It's not her just being nosy. It's way more than that. It's destructive. And so Bill says, well, if you think that way, then we're not going to see eye to eye. And then Evan says, well, if you can determine that that's a good person, then tell me. And then Bill says, okay, you know what? I'm done. And, he's out. He's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And Evan's like, bye. See ya. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And that was the end of that. And I thought that was a pretty good episode. My final thoughts on the episode is that I still feel like Jennifer was wrong. Margaret was wrong as well. But you know what? The real issue lies with Nabil. Hopefully everything works out with Dolores' mother. And Teresa, I don't know. Teresa is just, she's just hopeless. She picks the wrong people to befriend. It's just a hopeless situation with Teresa. It's really sad because they don't have their parents anymore, and it's just the two of them. And it's just like, why would you let someone like Jennifer come in between you and your brother? Whatever. That's my review. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it because you didn't have to stay at all. You didn't have to click on this video at all. So if you gave me just 1 minute of your time, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to rate the video, comment, and definitely subscribe. And I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.